Everyone, let's welcome in the legend, John Jackson Miller.
Hey, how you doing?
So, I've got to start off by asking, how did you come up with Batman Resurrection?
That was a case of I was well, actually it goes back even farther, I should say. I was in college, 1989, University of Tennessee. It was one of the summer editors on the campus newspaper, and I there was not a lot going on in town, so I assigned myself the duty to review some of the movies that were coming out, and it was a big movie summer. And the one that gave me the most pause and trepidation was the Batman movie. The hype had started on it well before, but a number of us fans were concerned. That the movie might not be serious, that it might follow in the footsteps of the Adam West TV show of the 1960s, and that it would continue to, influence how people saw comics, which by that point were much different, because we no longer had, the newsstand distribution system being the only way to get comics. So we were able to do comic books that didn't have the comics code, like Batman: The Dark Knight Returns or Batman: The Killing Joke, for example. And so there was concern. Some people were very concerned. Some people were talking boycott. They were doing petitions. Michael Uslan, who is the executive producer of the films, has in his collection some of these petitions that people had come up with, saying, "Hey, we can't have Michael Keaton as Batman." They were also concerned about Tim Burton, the director. Some people were even concerned about Jack Nicholson, whether he could take it seriously. And I had kind of shielded myself from a lot of this. And I went and saw the film, and again, it just changed everything for me in terms of how I thought that the general public was going to react to comic book heroes in the future, or comic book content in the future. The first night I saw it was with the sneak preview night with a room full of fans, and that was of course one thing. But then the next night in the biggest movie theater in town, 7 p.m. with a civilian audience, and they all enjoyed the movie too. And I'm like, okay, this is going to change things from here on out. And so there and so on. Now I re-enter this story a few times in that as I go to work for the company that does Comics Buyer's Guide. I am covering the comics industry. I'm covering Batman as a character, and I'm carrying covering all the various licensed things. I got to write about the later Batman movies by Schumacher in Comics Buyer's Guide. And I even got to throw in some theories that I had back in the old college newspaper days about what things might have actually transpired after the events of the first movie. But it doesn't really roll back around again until very briefly, when I'm doing a lot of comic books. I'd been doing the Knights of the Old Republic comic series for 5 years. That was around the time that DC licensed the Batman 66 comics, or not licensed, but it came up with them based on the elements from the 1966 series. And I remember asking the editor at the time, "Hey, if you ever need somebody to do Batman '89, here I am." And he said, "Well, there's like 40 other people in line before you," and that I was like, "Yeah, that's I don't doubt that." And it goes away, and it doesn't come back until the 2020s, when Sam Hamm, one of the two screenwriters on the first movie, and Joe Quinones, who I had worked with as an artist on Star Wars, Knight Errant was the name of that series. Yeah, we ended up having comics come from them that are set more than a year after the end of Batman Returns. Also in this stretch, we have the Michael Keaton appearance in the Flash movie with a number of the trappings from the Batman movies he had appeared in. And so we have all of this, and I was working on my latest Star Wars novel, Star Wars: The Living Force, a book for Random House, and my editor Tom Holler said, "Yeah, you saw this movie many times in the theater." I said, "Yeah, it was 12 times," and he said, we have the rights to actually do a duology, a two-book storyline that would take place whenever you want, but as long as it connects to these movies." And I was elated. And what happens then is we have discussions with Warner Brothers, but also the team at DC Comics that was working on the comics. And I said, tell you what, rather than me doing something set in your continuity, which has had things happen that people would not necessarily be familiar with in the general public. Um, Let me go with the thing that is the most familiar to people, which is going to be the very first movie. Let me write a direct sequel to that. Let me put the second book immediately after that. And that is how it came about.
Well, they bridge perfectly together too, which I'm still in the middle of Revolution,
Well,
so
we're going to avoid spoilers on both books, but we could talk about Clayface is clearly the villain of book one, and Riddler is clearly the villain of book two. But the other secret characters that appear, we kind of still keep those on the down low.
yeah, because the first book is still barely a year old,
Yeah,
so and there's still a lot of people. I've actually gotten other people to read them finally,
yeah.
and I feel suckered for missing out on them last year.
It was something where we went back to print in the hardcover twice. It was that big of a deal. It was something where it performed very strongly in release, but it kept going and it kept going all through the winter, and it delayed when we would actually get the trade paperback by some time, and that was all good because we had right there on the last page of the book, the book two was on the way. And so that got people ready for it.
Oh yeah, so far I'm really loving Revolution. And like I was telling you on Facebook, I'm like, I just keep picturing Crispin Glover as the Riddler.
Individual reader fan castings are valid. So it's a novel, so you can picture whoever you want.
Well, the way I see it, I might do a video of my dream team castings, like voice castings for the characters later on, because I do that on my channel once in a while. So you may see a video that, because I've already got an actor for Clayface picked out, and surprisingly, I think he would do really well, Pedro Pascal.
Okay, so you're thinking about modern actors who are not
Modern
yeah, I got you.
and past. If I'm
Okay,
trying to connect Riddler,
yeah,
because
I
this
got you.
is because I believe Revolution is set in the 80s and 90s, right?
Well, both films, came out in 1989 and 1992. We're in the first year after the end of the first movie in Resurrection. We're in the spring after the events of Batman '89, and then we're in the summer when we get to Revolution. And again, this is the amount of time in between the movies has never been specifically defined. I think 3 years is the cleanest, but it's there as for people to interpret. And then, of course, the actual time frame of the films is this amorphous, mixture of 1940s and 1980s styles and technology and architecture and various other things. So it's however you want to work it.
So we'll go with that. And the way I see it, going through a Burton fan cast, Crispin Glover is definitely part of the Burton verse, and I could totally see him being that version of the Riddler.
As I say, everybody can, as they read the book, hear who they want to hear.
I just keep hearing Crispin's voice, just like I don't want to say any specific dialogue on why, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone, because the book is just so darn good already.
Oh,
I'm
very
already
good.
hooked. One thing I will say I love about Resurrection is we get more focus on Max, and Max is
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite Batman villain. And I
Yeah.
know he's Burton exclusive.
Well, this was a thing that we could do because since we were set before Batman Returns, we could use any character that appeared in Batman Returns, with the exception of, Selena Kyle cannot have met Bruce Wayne yet, because they don't meet until that movie. And then we basically decided, we were going to go light on, the Penguin. We figured, we have a number of characters that are in his circle, or that are connected to him, that do appear, and really, Max is the stand-in for the villains of the second movie.
Well, I did like the little Easter egg of the strong man picking up a pizza and him saying, "The boss likes it cold." I
Yeah, there you
love
have it.
that.
There you have it. I don't understand people who like cold pizza, but it appears to be more than half the world. So
Well, I got right when he picked
you
up the
got the
pizza and
joke.
said, I was like, I know exactly who that is. I know who the boss is. And I figured the strong man was the character that Batman strapped a bomb to, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we don't know
Yeah.
what happens to him. We do see a blast. We do see him fall, but one of those things in comics is going to be also the same in movies. Nobody is ever dead in movies unless you can see the body, and usually not even then. There was a character in the Joker's group in the first movie that I had to frame through the movie and see, okay, does he actually die or not? And I realized, no, he doesn't. So I was able to bring that character back.
I really wish one character from the movie hadn't have died and would have got featured in the book. I love Bob.
Well, everybody loves Bob.
Yeah, we seen him die, so end of
It's
story on that one.
Well, we saw him get shot. We don't know what he was wearing. But this is the thing. We don't we would assume that he was here's the thing. We very much try not to overturn or conflict with the intentions of the filmmakers if they're very plain. Um, but one of the things that people in the tie-in business do, and certainly people in the comics business, we look for ways out of situations, and that's not unique to us. There are also people have to do that in soap operas, and they're currently trying to figure out how to do it in the 007 movies. And of course, as I posted in relation to that last week, they just need to ask a comics fan, because we could figure out a way to deal with a dead 007 in about 15 seconds. I mean, heck, Ian Fleming figured out a way.
Would you ever think of writing a partial sequel to Returns?
The future is always in motion. So it's it is one of those things where we decided we did not want to duplicate what they were doing in the comics, and but there's just a whole lot of room left, should somebody decide to do something.
So basically, you enhanced both movies, which is great.
Yeah, well, I mean, we I think we ended up enhancing Batman Returns in our novels. Just in a forward-looking sense. We're foreshadowing all sorts of things.
Well, yeah, because if you watch Batman '89 and then you put on Batman Returns, it's like, well,
Yeah,
where is everybody? Where's Knox? Where's
well, we definitely deal with all of that, but we also, I mean, the relationship that Max Schreck has with the community, the relationship he has with the mayor, the relationship he has with Bruce Wayne, the office dynamics he has with Selena Kyle. Those things did not start when the film starts. So those things would have started back in between or even earlier. And so we show some of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's just say my favorite Batman movie is obviously Batman Returns. It was my first movie,
Yeah.
and I remember seeing it. My grandfather, I was only a year old, took me to the theater to go watch it with him, and I remember the stories, him telling me all about it, and then he says, "Well, they took it off McDonald's." He told me most of the history about it. He says, "I remember the whole McDonald meltdown."
Yes, yes. Well, that's what happens. Again, the Batman, the original, even though there was this huge hype machine for it, the fast food licensee for that movie was Taco Bell, which was a much smaller chain when that film came out. And I went there anyway. I've got one of the cups right behind me. But
Yeah, you seen my shirt.
yeah, yeah. But again, by the time Returns rolls around, they have the largest fast food licensee, and sort of that dynamic follows from there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess because of all the dark stuff that happens in Returns, which I love it. I mean, I loved it as a kid, so
Well, yeah, I mean, you have Happy Meals that have smiley face, Catwoman, Joker, and everything like that, and so that was kind of hard to reconcile on a movie which, is still I think PG-13, but
yeah.
it's there.
I mean, you've got the penguin oozing blood and dying very violently.
Well, let's not spoil the movie, but yeah.
Oh, I think a lot of people seen the movie, so I think
Oh
we're
yeah,
safe.
no, it's all good.
So I think it's safe. I mean, and then I did an edit the other day, and a lot of people found it hilarious. The scene where Max is shocked and Bruce is digging him out of the metal or whatever to see if Selena's there.
Yes.
I had to edit Walken's voiceover and it says, "Bruce, shame on you." Oh yeah,
That's funny.
I'm actually gonna play Max Shrek for Halloween. So
Oh,
next
very
year.
good. Well, I saw my first Max Shrek cosplayer at New York Comic Con, which is where we released Batman Revolution. And again, that was just very cool because the novel we had, Michael Uslan, the executive producer, signed the first copies for everybody at the table with us, 2 days in a row.
I just thought it was funny how we actually got to meet. How interesting it was. The weird thing was, I just felt like wearing my Taco Bell Batman shirt. And
So yeah, you're referring to when we did the actual release tour. I did a stop in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and
yeah,
we were initially we were going to have a small table in the aisle, and I said, that by the time we get the Batman symbol up in the on the displays, we're going to need a lot more room. And so and then people gathered in.
well, I live about an hour away from Jonesboro, about 70 minutes total. And I was just telling the family, I said, I'm in the mood for Olive Garden. Let's go to Olive Garden and get the never-ending pasta. And then my kid, he wants to go to Barnes and Nobles because he always wants to go pick a book out. And I just happened to wear that shirt that day. And you
Oh,
walk
very
out and
good.
said, "Are you here for the Batman exhibit?" I'm like, "What Batman exhibit? There is one?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and that was that was fun. That whole week was fun. I got to go back to Memphis, which was my hometown, and do a talk. The people that I dedicated the book to, the living ones were all there, and that was just very cool.
One thing I'll say about Resurrection, I'm only in the middle of Revolution. I can't say too much because I don't want to, but the dialogue just seems very natural and very fluent. Like it feels
Yeah.
like it was a Tim Burton script.
Well, yeah, he didn't do the scripts, but they were writing the scripts to try to, do something that he would then cast into his mood and depict in his manner. The job of the tie-in writer, whether we're doing novels or comics or video games or something else, based on a TV show or a movie or even a video game, is to try to capture the voices, to try to make it feel like what it is, to try to recall for you these characters, and that's a basic competence level kind of a thing. If you're doing this stuff, it's got to feel like these characters, we're saying this on the screen, and it gets more complicated when you have characters that don't say much on the screen, and then you have to write in their heads. I think when Resurrection landed, there were a few people who were like, "Oh, wait, we're accustomed to Bruce being silent. We're accustomed to Bruce being brooding and not saying anything, and yet here we are, basically." In his mind for half of the book. And that is, there's no way around that, except if I were to do something like I did with my Kenobi novel, where we see it's everybody looking at Kenobi through their point of view. And I just could not see doing that with this case, because people want to be with Batman in the Batmobile, and the Batmobile seats one. So, well, it seats one, except when he's got a passenger like Vicky Vale. But normally, he's the only person in it, at least in the Burton movies. And so there's nobody for him to play off of unless it's Alfred on the TV screen or something like that. So we've really got to be in. I mean, could a novel be written like that? Absolutely, I've done it. But yeah, I think that particularly in the combat scenes where Batman is alone and trying to work out a problem, yeah, you definitely want to be in his mind.
It's true too. One little Easter egg, well, little nod I liked was the Batman Forever nod. When Alfred's explaining to him what we're gonna have for dinner, and he's like, I think I might get drive-through.
That was actually accidental. I have not seen that movie in 30 years. Well, it might be more recent than that, but it's been a long time. But then I actually rang that bell twice in that novel, and it's one of those things where people say, "Hey, you did that on purpose." I was like, "Okay, sure, why not?"
But that is something that you would think Bruce would say, especially Michael
Yeah,
Keaton's version is like, maybe I'll get drive-through.
right. Yeah, well, I think it was takeout or something like that. But yeah, yeah, I can envision pizzas being delivered to the Batmobile.
Or him pulling into a McDonald's is like, yeah, I want extra
He's not going to be
sauce.
able to make the turn around the corner.
I want extra mac sauce on my Big
Yeah.
Macs. Make it quick. But what's your opinion on Val Kilmer's take? And well, we're not going to talk about
Well,
Clooney.
no, well, no, well, no, well, it was interesting. Remember that they had specific jobs to do.
Thoughts on Kilmer?
Okay. Yeah, the thing with all of the later actors, no matter what pictures they're in, they're responding to whatever the director needs and the studio needs, and trying to give the performance that will be interesting to them, but also be interesting to the people that are making the film and will fit what they need. And so the decision about a break from the way things were aesthetically in the first two movies was made when they decided not to have Burton. And so we're automatically getting a different kind of a world. When you cast a different actor, you're automatically getting a different kind of a performance. Again, I think he did what he could with what was on the page.
I personally don't think he's that bad, but I know this is going to be a hot take. Keaton is the best Batman we have ever had, so it's very hard to kind of measure up to him.
Well, I think again, there was this historical moment connected to the first film that was just not going to be replicated. That this film is a declaration of what comics movies could be, and it was something which was not going to be a nostalgia, play, and in particular, it's a different world, both visually. There's no neon in Burton's world, really, and then there's also the matter of, I think, the physics of the universes are different. You do not see anybody in a Tim Burton movie or Batman movie, reading people's dreams with a hat.
Yeah,
Um,
the cone.
yeah, so I mean, you're already breaking out into a different place with these things.
Yeah, it was a different time, I guess, and I know the reason Schumacher was hired was because Burton's movie was so dark and they really wanted to lighten it up, but Schumacher at the time did some masterpieces. The Lost Boys is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
So
no, he did some wonderful films. I think the writer of the writer of Batman and Robin goes on to share an Oscar, I think, later on. So again, again, it all comes back to what's the assignment, what's the job, what have you been asked to do?
basically, McDonald's has to sell these toys, make them kid friendly.
I, you know, I'm pretty far from the boardroom in Hollywood, so I know what everybody else has heard on that, and that's about it.
Oh yeah, but it still is kind of interesting. I think we were robbed when we lost Billy D. Williams as Two-Face.
Well, the question was where that was going to go, and one can imagine infinite number of stories, and we're doing it now. So, or not infinite, but at least we have filled in, with the novels, a number of might have beens or could be's or what ifs, and likewise with the comics.
I do like how you still kind of go with that Burton-esque style of focusing on the villain's point of view more. So
Yeah, I think that would end up being the dynamic of any one of these movies if they were to happen. Whether it's and actually, a novel, it's really almost like a TV series or a TV season. The events take so long, but yeah, you would definitely want to be with these characters for a significant amount of time, and show that they are people just like Batman who had a series of events happen to them, and are responding to it, and they respond in different ways. And I think Burton in particular has a style that has both comic elements and tragic elements in it, and that is definitely what we tried to give Clayface, and likewise with the Riddler as well.
I like that certain characters from the first movie, the fact that you wouldn't think of them. Like there is a character that is focused on, I'm not going to say any spoilers, that's only in the 89 movie for about 10 seconds.
Well,
And I
you use what's there. You use the
and I never realized it until I got like right in the middle and I messaged you and I said, I didn't realize that was him.
yep, yep,
Wow.
yep, yep. And well, and again, that's a case where I had my character first, and then I connected it back to that person. So,
That that's actually called really good writing. So
well, yeah, or retconning or whatever you want to call it, but there it is.
another fun thing I really liked was focusing on Lawrence. I really liked Lawrence's characterization in the movie. I mean, not the
Yeah,
movie, the book. It feels like a movie when I read it. So
yeah. Basically, he stands for Bob. We get again we have no Bob, or at least that was a step too far bringing Bob back. But I did establish that Lawrence had survived, definitively watching the movie. And I'm like, okay, so I need somebody to actually speak for all of those people that work for the Joker. And it helped that he was a useful a foil, a useful villain combat wise.
Oh yeah, he was very interesting too, and I still like the focus on being on Knox because he's my second favorite of the Batman main cast.
And he gets even more work to do in the second book, and that's a wonderful thing that I got to do because again, he's my favorite character of the supporting cast.
Yep, same here, other than Max Shrek, who I'm a big fanboy
Yeah,
of,
yeah, yeah.
obviously. But yeah, I just like a lot of Knox, and I think what gives him a lot of personality is Robert Wuhl's delivery
Oh
and
yeah.
his acting. And I love Robert Wuhl. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's about the easiest character to write of all of them.
I mean, he's the fun. He's got some of the best lines. Even in the book, he's got some of the best one-liners that just kind of make me laugh pretty hard.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of fun writing that character.
But still, my favorite line of his in the movie is, "If you want me to do a nude, you're gonna have to get a really long lens."
Again, Robert was a screenwriter long before that. He co-wrote all of the episodes for Police Squad back when it was a TV show, long before the Naked Gun movies. And they showed those on TV a few months back, and that was really fun to see.
I actually heard that they were originally going to kill the character off, which would have been a major upset.
Well, there were thoughts about that. There were also, there was a plan that actually made it all the way through to the comics of having Batman after he leaves the cathedral, putting Knox in a Batman suit when he's passed out on the in the crowd, and that actually shows up in the comic book adaptation. Um, and nobody believes him, and that's that. That beat is not in the film, and I'm glad it isn't.
Well,
Let
yeah,
Knox have his win.
in a way, it would have been kind of, if they had chose to do that, in a way, it would have been nice because it would have shown that he was so obsessed with the Batman and he's trying to stress out his ego and Batman's pulling the old switcheroo and letting him have some kind of glory. In a way, Knox is a hero if you think about it.
Well, I mean, he gets more of a chance in my books.
Yes, he does, and I love the fact that you focus on him more. He's just the funnest character.
Oh yeah.
So I was actually hoping you would be able to do your Batman presentation today.
Well, that's an hour, and I don't have that. But
Uh,
I do it at a variety of different conventions. But basically, it recaps what I had told you before, which is that this had been a serious character for so many years, or not so many years. This has been a serious character in the years leading up to the movie. And then he had been a more serious character at his debut in the 1930s, where he was based on pulp, like the Shadow and the Phantom. And then what happens is, and I give him a teenage sidekick. The characters get progressively and uh, unusual, and the Rogues Gallery builds out. And then, after you go through the 1950s and the Comics Code, a situation where we have Batman at the time that the TV show comes along, he's very much not in tune with the Batman that or not in tune with the Batman we see later, and also he's not in tune with what's going on in the other comics at the time coming out from Marvel, where characters are getting more serious. Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men, the Hulk. And you know what we have is the characters, uh, not just the character getting locked into sort of this campier mode on TV, um, but you have attempts to change him back and make him more serious in the 1970s. Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams, these things are not reflected on the screen. The animated series that Batman has in the 70s, not the Super Friends one, but the one that's just him and Robin. They bring in Batmite in the second episode because, again, this is not really a detective show, not really a show about an avenging angel of the night. We don't get that until in animated form until Batman the Animated Series. And again, that was fun. I was just at a convention in Minneapolis. I did my first panel with Paul Dini of that series, and again, as we discussed, you don't get to make that show that way without the 1989 movie. So that
That's
really
true.
that really is the gist of the talk, which is that it opened the door. It created a permission structure, if you want to use that phrase, for people in Hollywood to pursue more serious versions of comic book characters. And it's not just Batman that we get that for. We get the Rocketeer, we get the Crow on screens. And so whatever happens in the later Batman films, it has made its transformation.
So I'm going to ask, and it'll probably spoil something, but what is your favorite parts from each book? And I'll tell you my favorites.
Favorite part from each book? Oh gosh, yeah, that's very hard to do. That's very hard to do. I will tell you that yeah, in editing, we really enjoy the moments where it's just Bruce and Alfred. Their conversations just over the kitchen table, reading the newspaper, are almost as fun as anything else we could do.
I did notice the way that Alfred was written. It just feels like Michael Goff was just there.
Yeah, and again, he's responding in the in the first book, rather, in Resurrection, to the question we might well ask, which is why is Bruce Wayne still doing this whole thing, the Batman thing, when unique to this universe, it's the Joker who killed his parents, and he's gotten justice for that. And so that is something that comes up. That's a conflict that is in their personalities, in their relationship. It results in him bringing Vicky Vale into the Batcave. It results in Bruce mentioning that casually in the second movie. I figured that would be an ongoing thread between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, that thread definitely lasts out throughout Resurrection. I haven't gotten too far into Revolution to where they had their arguments, and it also has a lasting impact in Returns where he makes a sly joke. Who let Vicky Vale into the Batcave?
Yeah, there you have it.
I love that Alfred the best. I mean, I like Michael Caine and the other versions of Alfred, like Jeremy Irons and stuff, but Michael Goff just had a certain way that he talked. There was a line said in the 89 movie that is said in one line that sums up his character perfectly, and it's when Bruce is looking at the files and he
Oh
asks him,
yes.
and he says, "What's the matter, Alfred?" He says, "I don't wish to fulfill my remaining years mourning for the loss of
I
old
have no wish
friends."
to spend my remaining years,
Yeah,
yeah, mourning for the loss of old friends or their sons.
and that line goes so hard
Yeah, yeah.
because he's telling him slyly, "I don't want you to keep doing this. You're
Yep,
diving too far into revenge."
yep. So it's no, it is a fun thing to bring that element back. So yeah, the book came out in late October in hardcover, audiobook, and ebook. People ask if you have to have read the first book to enjoy the second. Yeah, I say it's just like the two movies. You don't have to have seen Batman to enjoy Batman Returns, but it helps and it certainly enhances it. It is a wonderful thing, I think, to have what is really this single story, this 950 page story told across two books, finally available for people to read.
And it's so far, I think they're fantastic. I think they're well written. I'm giving a review of the book right now, I guess.
Okay, well, very good. Well, it's yeah, I do my best not to read reviews because I it's not my it's not good for authors' mental health. But no, I've had a lot of people reach out about the book, and it's been very gratifying.
I mean, I think they're amazing. So
Thank you.
there you go. That might help your mental health a little bit there. I think
No,
they're
no, no,
great.
no. This is something that goes back 20, 25 years. It's one of those things where some people will say, "Well, how are you ever going to learn to get better if you don't read the criticism?" It's like, well, I do read the criticism of my editors, of their sales teams, and then I'm my own biggest critic. And There's not a lot I'm going to be able to do about a book that's already out. Is the other part of it. It's this is the thing that writers have to get used to is particularly when you're doing something tying into a world like this. You're being judged against the version of the character and the version of the story that people are already imagining for themselves or have imagined for themselves for years. And I was told right away. My friend Michael Stackpole told me right before my first issue of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic came out. He said, right now, your life is calm, but as soon as the first issue comes out, you are going to invalidate somebody's fan fiction, or you're going to, conflict with it, and you have to say, hey, never surrender to the fact that you are the one that was hired to do this. I've got the license. I work for the people who bought the license. Another editor said, don't give people the story that they want. Give people the story that they need and maybe don't know that they want.
That's a good slogan too.
Yeah.
Would you be all for like if somebody wanted to adapt the book into an animated series, like animated movies, and if the guy,
I do not own the characters. I do not own the story. I would certainly hope they would send me the action figures.
yeah, that would be awesome, and then they could get like Michael Keaton to do the voice, and you can't get Jack anymore because
I, you know, I, yeah, people do this sort of thing all the time. It's actually really, these are different skill sets. Uh, People ask why don't more actors do audiobooks? Well, actors are trained to do, scenes in of short duration. Maybe a play will be 2 hours or something like that. But these audiobooks will be like 18 hours, where you're doing multiple voices. And so it's a whole different thing. I've heard from some actors that just say, yeah, they would never want to do that, just because it is a different thing. And so yeah, I've been really satisfied. We have two great audiobooks for this, narrated by Will Dameron. He performs the characters, and in the case of Revolution, he actually reads to you the first puzzle in the book, which is kind of cool.
I actually love that too. That's the only way I could get Revolution right now is through audiobook. Now I sat and read Resurrection. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah,
just sat and just kept reading it, and it's like, are you going to do anything today? Hold on, just three more
there you go.
chapters. I'm almost there.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
And so, as for what else is I've got that is coming out. I did the Star Wars Old Republic Epic Collection Volume 2 has just come out. That has all my Knight Errant comics and my Lost Tribe of the Sith comics. Up next for me, I've got GalaxyCon Columbus in Ohio, and Then I have a winter of writing, and I'm not going to say what I'm writing, but I'm writing. I'm always writing. Usually writing in the winter, and but people will be able to, follow me and get my event schedule and everything. My website is farawaypress.com. My On Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, I am John Jackson Miller. On Blue Sky, I am farawaypress.com. And on Twitter, I am JJM Faraway. And I think I'm John Jackson Miller on TikTok as well. So that's where people can find me.
Well, I'm going to say thank you so much for coming on as a guest. I appreciate it.
I've enjoyed it. Thanks very much.